In this video, we'll look at using the views to filter and find data and create your own views when you're working with entities within the application. I'm in the application here, and let's use the sales order as an example of how do we create views. And so let's see, for example, up the top here, we can see we've got system views, which is a full list of all of the orders. But what if I want to create my own view? We can certainly do that by filtering the records. So let's say, for example, I want to see orders that are shipped. And so I can do that. But if I want to save this, what we can do is create a view. And so we'll go into the view designer here. And so let's look at, for example, we'll see that this field is status reason. And so let's look for our field, which is the status reason. So we'll see status reason, and then we can specify a value, which will be our shipped value. Now, I can specify any field on the entity or combinations of fields, whatever it is that you need to filter. So in this case, I can look for my values that we saw in the list before, and what I want to do is pick up my shipped orders. So we'll find the shipped and we'll say OK. And again, we can group and we can have as many filter criteria as we need. Now we can change the columns if we'd like. So we'll get the columns, and so we'll see here we've got, for example, total amount, status, customer, the name, for example. You can add columns based on whatever's in the entity as you need. So let's say, for example, we're finding the orders that have been shipped, and we want to look to the ship to city, for example. So we'll say OK. So that'll give us an extra field, and obviously we can modify these as we need. So we'll say OK. Now what we want to do is save this. So I'm going to give my new view, my shipped orders is my description, and we'll say save. So that's now saved. We'll close out, and what we'll see is that I've got my view and then shipped orders. So I can change my view, and therefore this gives me the columns that I've selected, and then in this case the ship to city that I was looking at. So I can easily use these to have as many different views as I want based on the entity that I'm looking at. So you'll find within the application there'll be standard system views, and then you can create your own view. So you'll see, for example, if I come down to products, there's a lot of different system views. I've created a view myself here, which is focus products, and so you can use that based on common ways you need to see the data that you're going to access. So you'll see when we come back to the views that we have, we'll go back to the default view. So I'm going to pin my view here, and so this is shipped orders. So let's try that. We'll go to our fulfillment orders, and then we'll go back to our sales orders, and now the default view that I've selected is now my shipped orders, for example. If you want to create different views and you want to change the default, this is where an administrator can come in. And so let's have a look at this. For example, if we go over to the Maker portal, so I'm going to go to make.powerapps.com. Now I want to make sure I'm in the environment that I'm working with, which is my trial environment here. I want to go down to entities and my tables. And so I'm just going to specify all, and I'm going to search for orders here. And in which case we were working with the sales order, so the sales order header. And then what I can do is look at my views. And so in this case, you'll see, for example, we've got different views that are different types of views, for example. And so the default view there is, for example, the intelligent order management views. So if we have a look at the configuration of these, we can use the designer to change these views if we need to change them. Add columns, remove columns, for example. Now, if I wanted to create a new view from here, I can do that. So let's say for these are the global shipped orders. And so I'll click create. Now I can basically do the same thing here, but this as an administrator developer allows me to then assign this to the whole system so everyone gets this. So let's basically do the same view. So we've got status reason, let's say we want total amount, and we want the ship to city, for example. That's all we need for the moment. Okay, and then we can specify the filter. So in our example, filter by, and we want to say that it's filter by shipped. And then this will give us our view of the filter by. Let's just try that again. Filter by shipped. And we'll say apply. So now I can say save. And then once it's saved, I can publish this. So let's let it publish. Okay, so now it's published. I can navigate back because it's now saved and published. So let's go back to our list, and we can see in our list we've got global shipped orders. So if I select that, what you'll see is that we now get a button here that says set as default view. So I'm going to save this as a default view, and now you'll see that it's marked as default. So I can make the same modification in any entity. So you'll see, for example, if I look for product, I've already created one here as well. So this is my product, and I created a view here called my coffee X200, for example. And so if we switch back to the application, if I go to my product, you'll see we have the coffee X200, and that'll be my view, for example. So that's a really quick walkthrough of the views. You have the ability to create personal views or my views as a user and modify those. Administrators can create system views and have those available for all users, but this gives the users a way to have a look at the data in common sort of patterns that they might need to use for their daily activities. Dynamics 365 Intelligent Order Management is a new application in the family of Dynamics 365 applications, built on the Microsoft Power Platform running on the Microsoft Azure Cloud. To learn more about Dynamics 365 Intelligent Order Management, visit our community site, documentation site, marketing site, or our blog at these links.